It also delivers unsurpassed protection against friction-related wear. Get 15% off State Motor automotive products you can fit inside the bag. Good through January 12th. See store for complete details. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Your station for news, traffic, and weather in Central Ohio. News Radio 610 WTVN Columbus. WODC HD2 Asheville. An iHeartRadio station.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Southern California facing renewed critical fire danger as Santa Ana winds are forecast to surge tonight with wind gusts up to 65 miles per hour. The Palisades fire has burned over 21,500 acres. The Eaton fire is scorching 14,000 acres. ABC's Matt Rivers is in heart-hit Altadena, where it's right now
not very windy, at least in this part of Los Angeles, and that's a good thing. But we know that over the coming days, we are expecting winds to come back, and we know how quickly one ember can spread, multiple embers can spread, leading to the kind of destruction that we saw here. Nothing to worry about right in this moment here, but certainly people across this area very much on edge after seeing all this.
The toll from the fire is growing. At least 11 lives lost, more than 12,000 structures, homes, and businesses damaged or destroyed, and more than 150,000 people under evacuation orders. Sentence in his New York City hush money case. It means Trump will be carrying a new distinction, the first president to enter the White House as a convicted felon. ABC's Aaron Katursky.
Trump listened remotely, his face on courtroom screens. He declared his innocence and vowed to appeal.
It's been a political witch hunt. It was done to damage my reputation so that I'd lose the election, and obviously that didn't work.
Prosecutors said Trump was convicted based on overwhelming evidence. Trump faced up to 4 years in prison, but they said the minimal sentence was due to the unique and remarkable set of circumstances.
Despite no punishment, Trump's team planning to fight the case. The fate of TikTok now in the hands of 9 justices on the Supreme Court. The clock ticking. The U.S. ban a little more than a week away. Noel Francisco is a lawyer for TikTok.
This country has never taken the step of shutting down a speech platform, much less such an important speech platform.
A decision is widely expected from the Supreme Court sometime next week. You're listening to ABC News.
A great finish for Ohio State in college football in the Cotton Bowl. It was about 2.5 minutes left. The Buckeyes up by 7 when the Texas quarterback is sacked. And Ohio State does what they do. ESPN with the call.
It's not do or die, but it's close for yours. Pressure comes. Sawyer knocked it out and picks it up. Jack Sawyer headed down the sidelines. Ohio State scoop and score.
Scoop and score
from 82 yards.
That took Ohio State up 27-14 over Texas, final 28-14. Now the matchup that college football lovers in this region have been waiting to see, college football championship between OSU and Notre Dame. That game is on Inauguration Day, January 20th, 7:30 p.m. Governor DeWine likely has his mind made up on who he's going to put in former Senator J.D. Vance's seat. He says that he will let us know next week. City of Cleveland's been awarded nearly $70 million. It's a federal grant to be used for construction of a land bridge that would connect downtown with the lakefront and transforming the shoreway into a slower boulevard with pedestrian walkways. Kirtland Police said on social media that they've had several people come to them with copies of the same exact threatening email.
The email is from an anonymous person claiming that while you were looking at pornography on your computer, they installed malware on your computer, malware that allows this anonymous person complete access to your computer, including video of you from the computer camera. And this person claims they'll send that video of you to everyone you know unless you send them $1,950 in Bitcoin. Kirtland Police say if you get this email, delete it immediately. They say it's a scam. I'm Tom Moore.
I'm Sandy Collins.
Your latest news, traffic, and weather.
If you're not informed, then you're out of the loop.
All you have to do is ask.
Play 610 WTVN on iHeartRadio.
Brought to you by Day and Night Heating and Cooling Products and Dill Mechanical.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off, free UPS shipping, and add code RADIO for an extra 5% off.
Steve here with USA Insulation. Hey, if you're living in a cold, home, you have to give me a call. Why? We can insulate your older home with our premium foam and change that in just one day. The best part, you can still get the $99 a month interest-free. This investment cuts your heating bill so much you could potentially pay for this every month. Stop freezing. Start saving. 529-2440. 529-2440.
USA Insulation.
Jerry, do you know what I like best about our plumbers? Tell me. They just dive right in and fix the problem.
Get Eco.
ECO. Scuba diving plumbers, genius electricians, and impossibly handsome HVAC technicians.
GetEco.com. Simple Bath and Kitchen. Local, trusted, and focused on what matters.
Because your dream kitchen or bath should never come with pressure.
Just the best quality and service in Columbus.
Learn more at simplebathandkitchen.com. Happy New Year!
30 minutes ago, I was absolutely furious. I even sent a text to the producer, Ella, to see what I could and couldn't say over the air. I just watched the video this week of a 17-year-old thug shooting at CPD officers with an AR pistol, trying to take the life of multiple officers as one after another arrived on the scene, running into danger, of course, disregarding their own lives to save others. Cruisers hit by gunfire. Miraculously, no officers were hit. What kind of upbringing, what kind of failures of society caused this 17-year-old to think this was okay? He wasn't born a menace to society, but since the age of 12, that is certainly what he was. 2024, robbery, ag robbery, kidnapping. 2023, carrying a concealed weapon, receiving stolen property, of which was a firearm, having a weapon under a disability, being in possession of a stolen vehicle. 2022, caught in another stolen vehicle. 2019, at the age of 12, robbery. How do we justify to the community to have this person still amongst us? How do the judges sit with their neighbors and say that they continue to let these people out regardless of age? Letting them out to terrorize society. How do they look that neighbor in the eye and say they did not lock them up? We said it last week. These communities are victimized twice. Once by the crime committed by these punks, and then by the horrible, inadequate system that continues to let them out time and time and time and time again, just like in this case, right back into these communities that are the hardest hit. It's time we stand together and put an end to this disgusting trend of letting the worst out amongst us. OnTarget is next.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is OnTarget, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delpit.
Good afternoon. Welcome to OnTarget. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. That's right there, 999 Bethel Road. I'm your host, Eric. Father Phil has just left the building, but I'll tell you what, guys, furious. I don't know if you guys saw the video or not. It is disgusting, and it's even more disgusting when you realize what this thug has done before. How is he out? How? Last year, aggravated robbery, kidnapping. How is he out on this? Who is the judge? Who is the judge who let him out? It's disgusting.
It really is. I mean, the judges, the police risk their lives, get out there with catching these criminals and put them in there, and then the judge goes, well, we'll just let you out. And we hear it time and time again. People just don't realize how important elected judges.
You can bet had the police shot and killed him, they would have been the bad guys.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely. And you know what? So I will say, if you go out there and watch the video, it's the press conference that went on yesterday. The chief spoke at it. The mayor spoke at it. Brian Steele spoke at it. And there were some highlights in it that were, I guess, promising. One was, get this, guys. These officers show up. There was rounds going everywhere, side of the cruiser and everything. And the kid gives himself up. And the professionalism of those officers who were just taking rounds from an AR, the professionalism for them to go up and cuff that kid shows you what these men and women are made of out there. Now, I will say this. We have been extremely critical, rightfully so, of the chief and of the mayor. And those guys, I felt, did a great job in that press conference yesterday. The chief came out and says, we are going to prosecute these to no end. Well, we need to get the judges on board. And I'll even give a kudo to the mayor. He says, look, you do this, you're going to have to come through all of us. I mean, it was the most forceful stance that I've seen him take. Of course, Brian Steele was awesome. Brian got up there, and Brian said, like Brian always does, and of course the FOP president, and he says, look, guys, I feel for this kid. 17 years old. This kid wasn't born a menace. Society has failed. His parents or whoever they are, the parents, the society, the judges have failed him and have, caused this kid to be down this path with seemingly with no other recourse. And, I mean, Brian did a great job of bringing that back around. We got to help these communities. I mean, this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, it is. But the judges have to come on board, too. I mean, you just can't release these folks in. If there's programs or things you need, psychological evaluations and treatments, but just to sit there and go, hey, we don't have time for this, we don't have money for this, go ahead and we'll see you later. And maybe we'll see you later because he's been back. How many charges did he have?
And they have.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
crazy.
Why? I want to know the judge. I want to say his or her name every week.
I would bet it would be more than one judge, but yeah, I would.
Sure, I want to say their name. So when their yard sign is stuck out there on the side of the freeway next election, you can look at that and say, wait a second, this is the one who let these guys out. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous because it's so fixable. That's the thing.
Or better yet, have the judge call in and justify why they haven't done anything.
Right. It's I don't know. I get so frustrated about it because the problems that we have, many of them are fixable. And we continue to do the same thing over and over again and wonder why the outcomes are different. That's it. I'm going home. Bye, Ed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys, and there you have it.
There you have it. Guys, we are the owners of LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and are active in law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding our Second Amendment. Our commitment has always been, though, to bring you facts about our industry, help listeners and customers with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. Guys, today, actually that's important, but we're kind of in that lull period where SHOT Show's not quite here yet.
The one we're not going to?
I thought we were going this year. The 21st to the 24th,
It's the third year in a row he's put us off.
Yeah. Well, it's actually about the 5th year, but
but who's counting?
We're going to talk about some stuff, as always, has snuck out. And finally, we're getting in this week a couple items that were released, I think, last summer. They'll come in, be here in the store this week. So we're going to talk about those a little bit. What else we're going to talk about? SHOT Show preview, JC News. At the bottom of the I'm going to talk a little bit about, I was going through some notes today, just trying to see where we're going to go in 2025. And, and it kind of goes to what we talked about at the top. We need to start partnering with each other and fixing some of these problems. And I'm hopeful with the new president in there, new administration, we can start doing that. Get some, decent ATF leadership at the top, these organizations. But we're going to talk a little about some of the things we can do. And there's one specific group we're going to mention, and you'll be surprised when I read right off their website of their stance on firearms, and then you hear who it is. You might be surprised, and it might be time for us to pick up the phone and say, hey, guys, let's partner going forward. It helps all of us.
Oh, there you have it.
That's it. The voice of JC, that is sitting to my left. How you doing, JC?
I'm slightly hoarse after the fantastic game last night. We're already on, the callers today. But that was incredible. The end of the very first half, and then I'll tell you that snatch and six was.
Yeah, that was great.
Our defense, let's face it, they just won that game. Our offense kept getting penalties and going back to back. I almost thought that for a while that they were going to have more yards and penalties than they were in rushing. Yeah. So it was horrible.
Crazy.
But you hear?
Good to be here.
Yeah, guys, I didn't, JC, right after the show last week, I scurried out of here. skiing for 3 days.
Yeah,
went to Holiday Valley.
I looked for you.
Yeah,
only
you were
one
there too?
Well, no, I looked for him on the cam. But only one of them was running, and it was. But I kept thinking, so after about going, hey, he's not going to even be there. So
it was super neat. A little bit dicey on the drive home because you're driving up there along the lake.
Right.
Yeah,
But Holiday Valley, New York.
That you had like 7 inches of snow, they said, and then it was even snowing the night before. So
right, tons of snow
really
up there.
fun.
Really a neat place. A little chilly. It was 19 and 20 degrees.
Good skiing weather.
But it was good skiing weather. We had a blast. Luke did great with his new skis, so it was good. Guys, we'd like to thank our sponsors: U.S. Law Shield, Jackson Windows, Blackwing Shooting Center, Rivers Edge Cutlery, C&S Engraving, and of course LEPD Training, all who make the show possible each week. Edward, Chicago.
Well, you talk about the new year starting off with a bang.
Yeah.
It's not the bang we're looking for, Ed.
Chicago's working on it. We got 11 homicides already in Chicago this year.
Happy New Year.
48 people shot just so far in the first year of 2025. Wait till the weather warms up, baby.
Yep. Jeez, that's just every time you talk about it, it's just
I can't believe there's anybody left in Chicago with all these homicides. It's just crazy. Who would want to be there? Why?
I know. Guys, if you missed the show, you can always catch the podcast. That's at 610WTVN.com. It's on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, Facebook, and YouTube. And I have a little asterisk by YouTube because those ding-dongs last week, do you know they took us down last week?
Yeah, I think as soon as I mentioned the G-U-N
don't spell it out
word,
yeah, they took us down, and I'm, of course, appealing it, but typical, you talked about guns. I'm like, well, we're talking about safe, responsible ownership of guns, about gun laws and stuff like that.
How about the Second Amendment to the Constitution? We're talking about the Second Amendment to the Constitution.
Right.
Are you against the Constitution of the United States?
Now, there is some hope, though, because did you see, guys, this week that Facebook came out? And now I don't, I always have my guard up, but they came out and said, "Hey, we're gonna ease up on some of these restrictions that were just crazy that got put in the last 4 years." And according to them, if you believe Zuckerberg and stuff, he says that these were put in direct, basically order from the Biden administration, and that they never really agreed with them, and so hopefully going to let that up a little bit.
Isn't that amazing? That the freedom of speech was like, nope, you can't have it. Yeah. Here, this is an elected president, and the whole that regime.
I would like to see him.
Oh my goodness!
Come on board and stand beside Elon and really get the tide turning on some of this media stuff. Yeah. JC, let's go. Let's go to a quick break. So when we come back, we can just fly right into the news.
Okay,
guys, we're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be back right after the break.
The Mark Blazer Show. Monday at 3.
Well, can you believe it? Our Buckeyes did it. They're headed to the national championship to battle the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman, the head coach, as you know, a former Ohio State Buckeye. Boy, is this one going to be good on Monday, January 20th. You excited? I'm excited. This is amazing. All right, at 5:05, Congressman Jim Jordan will join the conversation. Hope you're
It's actually 31 out there.
Oh, yeah.
I could actually wash my car today.
It's shoveled off the...
Or wash my wife's car today.
Yeah, since you took hers to New York.
We did. It was
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
What is this? What's a
10
what's
seconds.
a PAB?
10 seconds. Here we go.
No.
I don't know. Your ABC6 first warning weather. For today, snow showers are likely throughout the day. Mostly cloudy skies, though, high of 29. For tonight, it's going to be mostly cloudy skies. Once again, low of 16. Sunday, morning clouds and afternoon sun, high of 31. Currently 31 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
News headlines and interesting talk. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Let's just change to a sports talk hour.
Yeah, we could. I stayed up till like 2 a.m. just watching just watching the different interviews that they had with the folks and the replays, and it was so exciting.
It was good to see those guys. Obviously hard working out there to see some good results on the field. We're OnTarget broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Farms Range. I'm Eric, the host. I got JC to my left. I got Big Ed to my right. Guys, before we get to the news, one really sad thing. I want to just shout out there to keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Our good friend Cam Edwards. Who is the host of a talk show, Cam and Company. That's been around for a long time, 20 years. And he is a daily show. We've been on it many times. He's been on ours. He writes Bearing Arms. I mean, a lot of good information. He is on the front lines of a lot of Second Amendment stuff. He lost his wife last week. She had a long battle with cancer, and so we're keeping him in your thoughts and prayers. We've been in touch with him, and it's just tough times for their family.
Yeah, what a really, really good guy. I had the pleasure of meeting him at
Yep, definitely. JC, what kind of news you got for us?
News. Well, actually, there's potentially some incredibly good news. We'll wait and see. But we're going to start off with Ohio because I wasn't aware of this, and I read this in Emily. It just came out on Thursday. But an Ohio Court of Appeals ruled that no ban on Second Amendment rights upon indictment. And I said, that sounds curious. I hadn't really heard about this. But in 2023, a prosecutor using a grand jury brought an indictment against a gentleman named Kendall Brown for robbery. Okay. But the robbery indictment led to a charge of possessing a firearm while under indictment, which, felony, and that actually takes away his ability to own a firearm. But the robbery indictment was dismissed, never went to trial, but the charge of possession of a firearm while under indictment stuck, and they took his rights away. So anyway, he went to court. He moved to dismiss the charges of possession while under indictment, and the trial court agreed and dismissed the charges. But the state of Ohio appealed it. It turns out Ohio is one of 3 states in the nation that if you're just even under indictment of a felony, they take away your Second Amendment rights. But on January 3rd, so not too many days ago, the state appeals court agreed with the trial court 2-1 in decision, and it found that the statutory ban on possession of a firearm under indictment was really unconstitutional. So this was it's unusual in the fact that they said this case concerns really the state's power to disarm one of its citizens based solely on the fact that they're under indictment. And what they found was Kendall Brown had never been convicted of any felony. He has never really had undergone a trial. He'd been indicted, which is basically the prosecutor accused him. But there was no judge, no jury, no one ever considered the evidence.
But why did Ohio appeal that?
Right. No due process.
Well, because it's the law. So I guess you have to, our law either needs to be changed or, but there was no
But
due
they
process.
dropped the indictment?
Yes. As a matter of fact, he was out on bail, and I don't know how they discovered this, if they took him home or whatever, but they discovered he had a firearm actually in his home after he was put out on bail. But again, the indictment was dropped, everything. But what stuck was his fact that he could never possess a. So anyway, it was interesting. I don't like the fact that the state appealed it, but if it is the law, I guess that's what what we have to do. So anyway, I thought that was interesting because it was Ohio. This could be something big. SCOTUS, just on Friday, yesterday, the Supreme Court of the United States agreed to, in private conferences between the justices on Friday, they distributed 2 cases involving the ban of ARs. Basically, they're called modern sporting rifles by states, and plus 2 other Second Amendment petitions. So they're going to consider these. The first one was, we've talked about before, Snope versus Brown, Maryland's prohibition on modern sporting rifles. So anything that looks like the AR type platform, plus many, many other rifles, but they prohibited the ownership of that, and also standard capacity magazines. They put in this 10 rounds. So, and they're so common. There's above 10 round magazines. There's almost a billion or 7. I don't know. That's a little bit overestimate. There's about 100 million of these magazines out there, but they banned those. So they're going to consider that. The second one was the Ocean State Tactical versus Rhode Island. That was a challenge to Rhode Island, which is a confiscatory. So they want to confiscate standard capacity magazines. They just, hey, if you have them, you need to turn them in. We are confiscating anything above 10 rounds. And the Supreme Court had previously rescheduled consideration of those two. The third one was Maryland. It's called Maryland Shall Issue, because it's a shall issue state, versus Moore, because Maryland's handgun licensing requirements were very expensive, include, among other things, duplicative background checks. So after you get one to the feds, they want some additional stuff that they want to do that you have to pay for. You have to take a training course even before purchasing it. You have to do. They put all these hoops in. And extended waiting periods. It could take up to a month after you pay all this money to go in to even get a handgun license. And so they're going to consider whether that is constitutional. And the last one's more of a technical one. The fourth one they're looking at, it's called Gray versus Jennings, which concerns the question of whether infringement of a Second Amendment right constitutes a per se injury. And that would be for the purpose of obtaining a preliminary injunction for constitutional challenge. Right now, you can appeal it, but they go, okay, well, they'll agree with the state, said, yeah, we're going to implement it as if it's really happening until the appeal process goes through. And some people go, wait a minute, this is our Second Amendment rights.
Right.
How can you put that on hold? So if there's an appeal, what you need to do is allow you to have the Second Amendment rights until the courts decide that you can't.
Otherwise.
So that's kind of
there's some
big
big stuff
deal,
coming down again potentially with the Supreme Court this year.
Yeah,
I mean, there are some big things.
Really hoping on that.
Now, whether these states abide by the rulings is a whole other thing.
And that's what's concerned me. It really hadn't made the news, but I just happened to hear it the other day that they were bragging that Biden on his way out. Of course, he doesn't know what that. I don't even think he knows what day it is. But anyway, he went ahead and they were bragging that he appointed more federal judges than any other president. He 237. I know it's over 200. That number sticks with me, but it was a lot. And I'm going. I remember when Trump the last time had appointed 147. This was almost like 80 or 90 more. And you get these federal judges in there. They're the ones who make up these circuit courts. And so the Supreme Court, which is another story I have here, can say this is the way it is. And then you get to the federal courts going, yeah, we don't like it. Like Hawaii. Hey, yeah, you have your Constitution, but Hawaii existed before the Constitution. We have the Aloha philosophy. So we don't care what the Supreme Court says. You're not doing it in this state. So they put themselves above the Supreme Court of the United States, and that's an issue. So, all right, have another good story.
Yeah,
we got time for it.
You're good.
This is good, and this just happened recently, and this is one that I hope comes to fruition. We will have to see. But last week, the U.S. Representative Richard Hudson, a Republican from North Carolina, introduced the Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act of 2025. It's H.R. 38. And it had 113 co-sponsors for this Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act. And what this would do would protect concealed carry permit holders when crossing state lines. They said the legislation eliminates the confusing patchwork of laws surrounding concealed carry permits that vary from state to state, particularly in regard to states where laws make criminals out of legal permit holders from another state when they come in because they don't go with their laws. And they said, how do you know that? It's this patchwork where you have a concealed carry law for the state that conflicts with what you're used to doing, and how do you know those as you travel state to state? So anyway, but President elect Donald Trump on the campaign said that signing a concealed carry reciprocity legislation was one of his goals. To follow up, this week on Wednesday, the Senate jumped in, and U.S. Senator John Cornyn from Texas introduced Senate 65, which is the Constitutional Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act. They added that constitutional word in there. And then 44 Republican senators co-sponsored this new bill, including Senate Majority Leader John Thune as a co-sponsor of this bill. And they say basically it complements the efforts underway by the House. So what this would do, they said in short, this would treat state-issued concealed carry permits like driver's licenses. If you've got one driver's license in the state, you can drive in the other states. And they said basically that's what that would do. So, 44 senators were co-sponsored it. And then the Senate Judiciary Committee chairman, so this is important because that's the Judiciary Committee chairman, it's Chuck Grassley, one of my favorite senators out there from Iowa. He said responsible gun owners shouldn't have to jump through hoops to exercise their constitutional right when visiting other concealed carry states. And the bill would reduce the confusion and legal inconsistency for law-abiding Americans and also respecting the rights of states to set their own laws. But of course, this has been endorsed by the National Rifle Association, National Shooting Sports Foundation, and the Gun Owners of America. And they said basically the Congress has the opportunity to deliver the greatest legislative victory for gun rights movement in a century. And Donald Trump has already voiced his support, said the Gun Owners of America director. He said, with all 50 states now issuing concealed carry permits, 49 states allowing non-residents carry, and 29 states with permitless or constitutional carry, it simply makes common sense.
That would be great. That would be great. Guys, let's jump to the bottom of the hour news. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the SHOT Show that's coming up. Do a little preview on some things we know that's coming out and some things that are coming right here in the store this week. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be back right after the news.
The beauty of caps is coming to...
And my only last sentence would have been President Trump promised, in his quote was, your Second Amendment does not end at state line. So that was the end of that story. So,
Hey, Mike.
Who are you talking to?
You. Eric, I mean.
Eric? Yeah. Hey, that's all right, Em.
Everybody here's named Mike, to be fair. Nobody where you work is named Emily, so... Yeah, if I
Big
forget
Ed's thinking of
someone's
changing
name,
his name.
Mike's usually a safe bet. Hey, Eric.
Yes.
Are you expecting anyone calling in?
No. Why? Do you have someone calling?
No, somebody was ringing on the warm line, but I was listening for your cue, so I didn't answer yet, and then they hung up, but it wasn't one of your guys?
No, but if it's warm line, you might just see. I mean,
I would have, but I had to listen because you were about to go to break. So
I know.
Going to send it to break and then pick it up.
Yeah.
They were impatient and they hung up.
It could be. I mean, the warm line, that number, I mean, it could be, Attorney General Yost or Frank LaRose.
If anybody texts you that they were trying to call, tell them to call back.
All right. It could have been my mom.
I hope she has your actual number.
Yeah, I know it wasn't my mom.
I blocked her.
So, if we have time, these two stories. This one, I love this one. It should have happened earlier, but I guess they do an annual report of the Supreme Court of the United States, and the Chief Justice warns of the disregard of federal courts for Supreme Court decisions. And he was criticizing basically the Democrats. In the past few years, elected officials across the political spectrum have raised a specter of open disregard for federal court rulings. And he just said that the Supreme Court in the United States must maintain judicial independence and not be swayed or pressured by these Democratic senators that were... And other ones going, like Hawaii.
Right.
Okay, yes,
exactly.
Supreme Court of the United States. Hey, we got the Aloha, experience here, and we were.
1 minute.
Hawaii's older than the United States, so we can do what we want.
Maybe we start giving some of these states back to, California. Canada said they'd take California. I mean, maybe.
No argument here.
Yeah.
Is there anything left of California? I see the fires have now spread even more now.
Have they really?
I called Hutch yesterday to check on and see how he was doing, and I asked him, I said, how bad is it? He goes, where I'm at, nothing.
Really?
Yeah. He said, I haven't even been mandated to work.
Really?
Yeah. So, and he's in
Hey,
LA.
Did you see the report?
Close to L.A.
Did you see the report? They were playing it on Becker, one of those things. They said, we might mess time here, but the reporter was like, MSNBC was saying, the report that there's no water, that's misleading. That's not true.
Oh, the empty dam?
Yeah, well, hold on. I'll tell you afterwards.
Live from LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LEPD studios. I got Big Ed to my right, JC to my left. What more could a guy want?
I'm telling you, you got it made.
You know what I want? How about some of these things that are coming in this week, finally, from manufacturers that we talked about some of them 6 months ago. So if you've been waiting for the new Daniel Defense 9mm carbine in pistol format and in a rifle with a 16-inch barrel, they are literally en route. Supposed to be delivered, I think, Wednesday.
Oh,
here.
really?
So yeah. So next week we can show them on the show there, JC, and talk about them and stuff. We talked about them for probably 6 months. We expected to have them here, I think, last September.
Yeah.
Right. But they finally are getting around to shipping them. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. The other thing, and I told all the guys around here and all the young kids are like, who cares? But Car Arms. Now, when we started, Car Arms was a very reputable. We sold a lot to law enforcement. JC's still carrying it.
I just can't believe how accurate it is.
It's just
got nothing to do with you.
Well, yeah, probably not. But I shot a group where I thought I missed the target, and I went up and checked it out, and all were in the right in the very, very center. It looked like it was like one ragged hole, and I thought, did I miss all of them? Only get one shot in, but
extremely well made. They're known for we always used to say a lack of felt recoil. So their springs are tough. I mean, it's a little bit harder to pull back, but the felt recoil have always been great. The one complaint, and the one that kind of probably why they fell out of grace amongst many shooters, is that they're single-stack magazines. So by today's standards, John, your PM9, it probably holds, 6+1 or something like that, or 7+1?
Yeah, that's yeah.
And now when you can get 15 rounds in a 365 or a Reflex or a Hellcat, they kind of fell out of grace. Well,
my opinion is if I can do that well in the first shot, why do I even need the extra?
Oh, that's
I'm hoping
true.
to bring them all home.
That is true.
That's
the Car X9 though is going to be here this week. The X9 is their first attempt at a double stack magazine. Comes with two 10-round magazines, but the neat thing about it is it takes the SIG 365 mags as well. I think it also takes the Springfield Hellcat mags, maybe with an adapter. I haven't read much lately on that, but that's what they had originally said.
That's what they said.
Definitely 365 mags, so it's kind of neat. So I'm anxious to see that. I'm always kind of a car fan and stuff. The pricing on it was not bad either, less than $500. So we'll see. So that's going to be here this week if that's been something on your list. JC, SHOT Show's around the corner. All kinds of new things coming out there.
Always exciting because it's amazing how many different things are out there.
Just when you thought you had everything. Glock kind of got ahead of the game. They announced a couple of things, groundbreaking, John. They are now, you might have been waiting for this for a while, Ed, but Glock now has come out with a weapons-mounted light.
You can actually put a flashlight
right there on the gun, John. On the gun,
right there. Talk about that. How innovative! As everyone's going, what? Haven't you been able to do that like 15 years ago?
I think I can do that on my
30S. But this is not their first attempt. Apparently, I never saw. That's not true. I saw one years ago. Now I know it was a Glock light, but it looked very bulbous, and it was apparently they've done several of these. And I started to look at the review of it, and there's reviews back in 2010 of the Glock Light. This is their latest version. It's a little more streamlined. And the thing about it is you get to choose whether or not you want to have a push button on or off or a left-right on and off, and you get to change that yourself. So it's nothing. I mean, it's a 600 lumen light, and we sell 800,000 lumen lights. And
right. It's sleek. It's the same width as a gun. It looks like so. It's kind of neat, but probably a different holster.
So it's no big deal.
It's no big deal.
I thought not.
I mean, you hate to say it, and I'm not.
But at the same time, they also introduced.
Well, they did introduce something else too that I was like, look at this. Slide cut for an optic. But it's a little bit more than just that coming.
Yeah, I mean, it is. They have also come out with what they've teamed up with Aimpoint, which is the originator of the red dot. I still actually have my original first red dot ever made, which came out in 1974 or 75.
Do you really?
Yeah, I still have it. It's pretty cool. The very first red dot, I thought I had to have one of those, and still do. It doesn't work now because I can't find batteries for it. But anyway, they came out and they teamed up. But so they came up with this. It's just even reduced smaller than the very popular Aimpoint Acro when they have that Acro. And it's actually more streamlined, it's smaller, and it's their latest, greatest. It's been tested with either 20 or 40,000 consecutive rounds with a 40 caliber ammo and holds everything. Here's the problem. The problem is it won't fit your gun. If you own one, you have to buy a brand new Glock because there is an undercut on the back of the slide. You can imagine it clips in, pushes down, and then there's a wedge with 2 screws that holds it. What it does is it's smaller, and they said it's absolutely the Aimpoint, the latest, greatest in their inventions, and it's the sturdiest because of the way that it mounts. But it's only available if you buy a new Glock for it. That's either the 43X or the 48X, the small size. Then the 19. So the model 19 has got the 45 and the model.
So does the optic come with it?
If you You buy it as a set. So there you go. And the cheapest one retail is a little over $1,000, and it goes up to around almost $1,200. You have to buy the gun with that. So So
I mean,
there you go.
I mean, the guys around here were excited about it.
Well, if you buy the gun, but you have to, and it works on you have to buy the Gen 5, obviously, because that's the only one that it works with. You have to buy and with the set. It comes from the factory that way, and you can't buy the accessory after.
So other things that are weak, Smith & Wesson continuing with their rifle line. It's okay to me, but I appreciate their ingenuity and venturing out.
Well, this is in their lever action.
Right, their lever action. They're calling it the Stealth Hunter.
Yeah, the Stealth Hunter. What's interesting, because, the lever action is truly an American invention. I mean, we're the only ones that really have those lines. And when Smith & Wesson came out with that so ago, it was the 1854, which was the founding year of Smith & Wesson. So they came out with it, and it was in 44 Magnum only, and pretty expensive, and its competition is Henry and then Rossi and now Marlin that Ruger's taken over. But they came out with it. Well, the new one that they have, the Stealth Hunter, they have modernized it to the point that it's like Chuck Connors and the Rifleman probably wouldn't recognize it. And when I saw it, I had the same reaction that most of you would. I looked at it and I said, WTF, which of course stands for, what's that firearm? It was unusual because it has an aluminum forearm with M-lock cuts in it. It's got 13 M-lock cuts in your forearm that you can hang whatever else you want to hang with it. Large loop, and now they've extended the caliber to 357, which is a great little hunting caliber. Also 44 Colt. So you can get those three in the Stealth Hunter, and because it's stealthy, it's got a 16.3-inch barrel. Short and compact, but it looks promising. But it's expensive. It's around the list price is like $1,400. So that's a lot. So
speaking of expensive, Staccato announced they're coming out with a new handgun. I think it's in a similar format to most of theirs, except that this one will take Glock magazines. So there's some chatter about that, thinking that it's going to be something kind of neat.
And they make, quality guns. I mean, really, they're expensive, but they're really using a lot of competition. So great.
So next couple of weeks, we're going to definitely get to some more stuff that's announced. I wish we were there. Hopefully, maybe we get to talk to our man on the street again about some of the stuff that is announced. I really haven't heard too much more of anything big.
When I was looking up the lever action Smith & Wesson, Henry is just coming out with a new lever action that is magazine fed, and it takes PMags.
I saw that.
And it's for the 300 Blackout or the 223, And
Actually
it's
had a
also
suppressor on it, too.
Yeah, it had
Yeah.
a suppressor on it, and it looks really, really fancy-dancy. And, of course, a lot of the new lever actions actually have Picatinny-style rails. I think the one on the Smith & Wesson's 10.5 inches long. You can mount any optic you want. So they've really upgraded it. So why would you want lever action? They're not supposed to be as accurate as bolt actions, but on the new one that's coming out from Henry, has a rotating bolt, locking lugs. They said it locks up as tight as any other AR would be. So, and it's a lever action gun. So cool.
Great. Guys, let's jump to a break. Before we jump to a break, one thing too, and this is just proud dad here talk. JC, did you see this? If you're watching on Facebook and stuff, did you see my latest firearm that I put together?
It's just not the one I handled earlier.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, yeah. I did. I thought that was great.
And I know you haven't seen it. For those of you, if you listen to the show any amount of time, for some reason, I don't know why, I love the 357 SIG round, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
And it's really around by a lot of regards. It's kind of come and gone a little bit. There's still some fanboys out there. You still get ammo, and they're still producing guns. Glock 32, I think it's a 32 is what I carry.
I think Uniform Secret Service still carries that round. So
do they really?
Yeah.
So it has a lot of good properties. It's basically, just for simplicity's sake, it is basically a 40 caliber neck down to a 9. So it screams. It is a very fast round.
Has great energy.
Great ballistics. It was intended to be similar to a 357 SIG. The problem is not a whole lot of new guns are coming out with it, and it's hard to find something small and compact with it. Like I said, the full-size guns are still out there, but not necessarily something small. I got an idea, though. I did some reading that the Smith & Wesson Shield, which is a great thin concealed carry gun, that there's companies now making 357 SIG barrels for it if you have the 40. So I bought one, got it installed yesterday, and went up with the gunsmith and shot it, and guys, you like it? It's sharp. It's sharp. Yep, holds 9 rounds, so not,
So you said it's sharp. Are you referring to the recoil?
You know what? It wasn't bad. The recoil was not bad. The fireball, I tell you what, I would hate to be on the other end of it, because if you don't get hit with the bullet, that fireball is enough to scare you. It was neat, but So there's my new toy there, Ed.
It really is a great round.
Yeah.
So,
Guys, let's jump to a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we see happening in 2025 and what we can do as lawful gun owners, as safe, responsible gun owners, to maybe reach out with the olive branch and team up with some of these organizations that we might not have otherwise thought to team up with, but all in the name of correcting what's going out there in society and helping the Second Amendment going forward. We're on target, broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be back after the break.
Yeah. Yes, that's one of my good high school friends. His son went in the Secret Service. He was such a good shot. He was number 1 in his class in pistol, rifle, shotgun, submachine gun. They put him in uniform Secret Service on top of the White House. And so I just asked him, they have everything. They have missiles. They got everything in the world. But I said, what firearm do you carry? And he said, we use the SIG 226 in 357 SIG.
Is that still?
I don't know. But as far as I know, that's what I could say. As far as I know, it's just an incredible round. So a lot of power, much more than a 40 or it's
more than a
really
10
good.
millimeter.
I'd have to look up the lines on that, but I would think not. I think they say the 10 millimeter is about as powerful as almost like a 41 Magnum revolver
15.
round, which would be very powerful. So.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll switch.
5.
4, 3, 2.
Your ABC 6 first warning weather for today. Snow showers taper off, mostly cloudy skies, high of 29. Tonight, the clouds roll back in. It's going to be low of 16 for Sunday. Morning clouds, but the sun does peak out there in the afternoon, high of 31. Currently 32 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610, WTVN.
Traffic, weather, and interesting talk. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Are we the interesting talk? Is that what?
Well,
is that
I
it?
guess that's the interesting talk.
Who cares about the weather? The Buckeyes won last night.
Yeah, right.
Oh, and oh man, I loved it. Oh.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today with two good friends. I got Big Ed and JC up here. It's kind of a cold day out there.
Yeah.
And stuff. But, good day. New year. Everyone's kind of fresh and ready to go.
Wow, this is just great. Yeah, I'm still reveling over last night. We'll see what happens in 9 days or 8 days now.
Was that
9 days?
A awesome view of the crowd last night when the Longhorns tied us up, and then we turned around and ran that ball back?
It was like 29 seconds left in the half, and all of a sudden, just looking at the crowd with
how dare you think you're going to score on us?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness, that was a great run. That was a great run.
Good. I feel good about Notre Dame going against Notre Dame, too. I don't know why.
I don't think we have a problem with Notre Dame. I don't think so at all. I was surprised that Notre Dame came back like that at the last there to do that three-point field goal. But I thought Penn State was going to take them all the way to the end. It was going to be a low-scoring game.
Surprised.
It was going to be 10-7, and that was going to be it.
Yep. Guys, we only have a few minutes left, but I wanted to give one thought. 2025 is here, and as lawful gun owners, we got President Trump now and his administration in there. And, I started to take a look back at some of our shows last year and the narrative, the horrible narrative out there in the media regarding firearms. When you look across it, one of the things this year, U.S. Surgeon General reported actually last year, our children have a greater chance of dying by a firearm than a car accident. And totally a false statement, totally a false statement that gets replayed over and over again. And if the stat on that was that if you broke out black children versus white children, the poor black children, poor, not economically poor, but the unfortunate black children have had a better chance of dying by firearms for the last 20 years. This isn't a new stat, and the corresponding white kids are still more likely to die by a car. But the problem, since 2020 and the riots and the fall apart of society, it has spiked those communities so high that now it has brought up the averages for them to be able to say, our children are dying more by guns than cars. But it's not a true statement. There's so much more to that.
It's the weaponization of truth. That's just what has happened in the last 4 years.
Period.
That's a definite goal. For example, I still bring up the fact that this is so important with all the firearms out there, that the CDC was forced because 5 Democratic senators said, oh, you got to take down this defensive gun use. Do you know, folks? I mean, this is it's been a fact since that's been researched. Over 4,600 times a day, a firearm is employed either to save your life, somebody else's life, or defend property. Not fired, but let's face it, if someone's going in to steal your car and you come out and you have a firearm, the chances are they're going to go away. 4,600 times every day over that. And that's the least amount that they've discovered. But they made him take it off of the CDC stats because he goes, oh, we're going to get any, and the letter actually said, how are we going to expect to get any gun control passed if you keep stats like this out there? So it's this weaponization of all this stuff.
We need just collectively as gun owners to start turning that tide. You talk about the AR, that's always the topic of these media outlets and stuff. But the stats don't lie. 10-year average, about 7,000 people a year die from handguns. Okay, this is over 10 years. This isn't cherry-picked 1 year because the stats look good. 7,000 people a year from handguns, 1,500 a year from knives, 400 a year from blunt objects, 659 people a year, on average, last 10 years, have died from hands, fists, and feet. Bar fights.
Yeah.
Okay? 400 a year by rifles. All rifles. Not just the evil-looking ones.
All rifles. And, of course, their goal, which they just said, first we're going to take these away. And why? Because these are weapons that you would use to defend yourself against the government. I mean, basically, that's what they want. So then after that's gone, they're going to go, wait a minute, that wasn't really the problem. We got rid of those. It's the handguns. And we talked about this before. On a national survey, 49% of Democrats overall thought that they should ban semi-automatic handguns. 49%. I was like shocked. I had to research that again and again going, well, that's what the Gallup, it was a Gallup poll.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
You have a better chance in this country of being beaten to death. Think of that. Than being killed with a rifle. Not an AR, a rifle, a long gun.
Any rifle.
And that's a stat that is held up for years and years and years. but you don't hear that. We need to start talking about that.
That's because the media wants us to ban the ugly
Absolutely.
AR.
So here is what I'm proposing, and that we're going to try to do this year. We're going to try to reach out to some of these groups who still believe in the Second Amendment. Listen to some of this wording off of a website here that I pulled, okay? This is a group that is out there. And on their website, they say, our members' opinions on things range all over the board. It's a diverse group that we have here. Sometimes we're hard-pressed to have a consensus that reflects the entirety of a membership. Well, that's understandable. But here is our stance on regulation of firearms. We favor root cause mitigation for violence prevention. I get it. We need to go into these communities and do something long before the 17-year-old takes a gun out and shoots at police. We favor stronger mental health care. I get it. Addressing poverty, homelessness, and unemployment rather than focusing on prohibiting or restricting a tool. Sounds like we wrote that, right?
Absolutely.
It says this includes opposition to so-called assault weapons bans, as well as restrictions on magazine capacity. And this view is directly related to our preference on an enforcement approach to regulation. We favor enforcement of existing regulations over the creation of new regulatory schemes. This sounds like something, it sounds like, Monologue 101 that we've done, right? We favor increased accurate reporting by states for the NICS background check system. Geez, how long have we been talking about that? We're in favor of mandatory safety testing as a condition of licensing for CCW. Okay, I could listen more to that. Yep. I mean, sometimes I struggle with that because the Second Amendment doesn't say you could have a right to carry a gun after you go through testing, pay the government and this, but I'm willing to listen to that argument. We favor minimum standards based on a national CCW reciprocity, so that all states could be a part of this national reciprocity. Guys, guess what website this is from? Guess what group that this is that we've since reached out to them?
NRA.
No. You would think, right?
Yeah.
This group is called Liberal Gun Owners of America.
Huh.
Liberal Gun Owners of America.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Most don't. It is a very large organization with instructors in many, many states.
Wow.
They have a
John,
definitely
you didn't know this?
definitely a presence out there online. Guys, we share something with these guys. We're under the same umbrella. We want to fight for the Second Amendment rights just like them. I could care less what their policies are on any of the other liberal stuff, but on this, guys, we could come together with them.
Bring them on the show.
And we reached out to them.
Good deal.
Gun safety should be taught in every school.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, thanks for spending a week with us. Go Bucks. Next week, we're going to talk about semi-auto shotguns, specifically magazine-fed ones. There's a lot going on out there. We want to. We've had a couple customers ask about that, so we're going to talk about that next week.
Did I see that Vivek was going to be here?
No.
Call it in?
No. What do you write? You maybe get on the right page there.
Well, this is what you gave me today.
Guys, be careful, and as always, stop by the store and see us. And let's be careful out there, guys.
Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, news, talk, and sports radio. Podcasts too. Download the app. Free never sounded so good.
15% off everything you can fit inside the bag is back at Menards. Make painting easier by using a one-coat product. Grand Distinction is an interior paint and primer in one that will give your home a fresh, updated look. Right now, get 15% off Pittsburgh products and all the painting supplies you can fit inside the bag through January 12th. See store for complete details. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
Hi, I'm Tracy Townsend with 10TV. Want to stay updated on the local stories that matter to you? Download 10TV Plus and get breaking news, weather updates, and newscasts on demand. Free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Start streaming today.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up
call. Are you there, Sally?
If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep... Consumer Cellular has the
You
same
answered to
fast,
that?
reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th.
Yeah,
so why
bit.
keep spending more than you have to?
Wait a
Seriously,
second.
wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM
Have you not been listening
or visit
intently to the show for the last hour?
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Some things that you were talking about, and you said you were going to do a SHOT Show preview, but I must have missed that segment.
Well, we just talked a little bit about. Is this for your write-up for the podcast? Yeah. Yeah. You can say SHOT Show preview, and yep. Hey, I got a question for you. Here, let me end the Facebook recording.